Breaking! Micah Parsons officially requests trade from Cowboys after contract dispute. Imagine the shockwaves that rippled through the NFL community when Micah Parsons, the Dallas Cowboys star defensive end, dropped a bombshell. He wants out. But here's where it gets controversial. The young pass rusher, who was once the toast of the town, now finds himself at odds with the franchise that drafted him in the first round back in 2021. Let's dive into the tangled web of negotiations, missed opportunities, and the simmering tension that has brought us to this point. And this is the part most people miss. The story is more complex than it seems, with layers of miscommunication, strategic maneuvering, and a dash of old-school NFL politics. Todd Archer, the seasoned NFL reporter from ESPN, brings us the inside scoop. Archer, who has been covering the NFL since 1997 and the Dallas Cowboys since 2003, joined ESPN in 2010 and has a keen eye for the intricacies of the game. His insights are invaluable as we navigate the labyrinth of Parsons' trade request. In a surprising turn of events, Parsons took to social media to announce his decision to seek a trade. His post was a heartfelt plea, detailing his journey with the Cowboys and the frustrations that led to his current stance. "Yes, I wanted to be here," he wrote, painting a picture of his deep-rooted love for the team and the city. He reminisced about the days when he and his father cheered for the Cowboys from their home in Harrisburg, PA, and his dreams of playing for the Star. But the dream has turned into a nightmare as Parsons expressed his discontent with the way contract negotiations have been handled. "I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present," he lamented. The issue of trust and transparency has become a significant sticking point, with Parsons feeling unfairly targeted for injuries sustained while playing for the team. He also took issue with the narratives being spread about him in the media, a clear indication of the growing rift between him and the organization. The crux of the matter lies in the stalled contract talks. Both sides acknowledge that discussions regarding a contract extension have been conspicuously absent. Parsons is set to earn $21.324 million this season, a figure that pales in comparison to the $24.007 million he would have made if he were classified as a linebacker. The Cowboys, for their part, have remained tight-lipped about Parsons' trade request, but they have the option to retain his rights through 2028 using the franchise tag. The relationship between Parsons and the Cowboys has been on a downward spiral for the past 4 months. Owner and general manager Jerry Jones had initially believed that an agreement on an extension was within reach, one that would have made Parsons the highest-paid non-quarterback in the NFL. However, Parsons' agent, David Mulligeta, had approached the team prior to last year about a contract extension, only to be met with a focus on other players like Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Parsons' frustration boiled over when he called Jones during a trip to Abu Dhabi, requesting a meeting that he hoped would address issues of leadership. However, the conversation quickly veered into contract talks, a move that Parsons found disrespectful. He admitted to having a heated exchange with Jones, who later claimed that an agreement had been reached on the length, total money, and guaranteed portion of the deal. Since that contentious meeting, several pass rushers have signed lucrative extensions, with TJ Watt becoming the highest-paid non-quarterback at $41 million per season. Historically, Jones has been known to work directly with key players on contracts, as seen in his dealings with Zach Martin. But in Parsons' case, the direct approach seems to have backfired, with the team going silent after initial negotiations. Parsons reported to training camp on time, but he has been going through a hold-in, citing back tightness. He has been involved in meetings, working out, and attending practice, but the tension remains palpable. Jerry Jones's comments at the start of camp only added fuel to the fire, as he raised concerns about Parsons' injury history and the risks of guaranteeing a long-term contract. The fans, ever vocal, have been chanting, "Pay Micah!" during practices, a stark reminder of the public pressure that the Cowboys are under. Stephen Jones, the executive vice president, acknowledged the fans' demands, but insisted that the team wants to pay Parsons, adding a layer of complexity to the situation. In a final, dramatic move, Parsons wrote on social media that he had submitted a trade request to Stephen Jones personally. The news sent shockwaves through the Cowboys locker room, with teammates like Trevon Diggs, DeMarvion Overshown and Wanye Thomas changing their avatars to show support for Parsons. Even CeeDee Lamb, who went through a similar ordeal last year, weighed in, urging the team to pay the man what you owe him. So, what's next for Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys? The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear. The stage is set for a high-stakes drama that will keep NFL fans on the edge of their seats. As we await the next twist in this saga, let's not forget the underlying issues of trust, transparency, and the delicate balance of power in the world of professional sports. And now we turn to you, the readers. What do you think about this situation? Do you believe the Cowboys have handled this correctly? Or is it time for a change? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let the debate begin. But remember, this is just the beginning. The real drama is yet to unfold, and we'll be here every step of the way, bringing you the latest updates and insights. Stay tuned and let the games begin. Micah Parsons demands trade, leaving the Cowboys. NFL News. Micah Parsons shocks the football world with a bold decision. He wants out of the Dallas Cowboys. But here's where it gets controversial. This isn't just about contract numbers. It's a story about frustration, broken communication, and perhaps a clash of values between player and organization. On August 1st, 2025, Micah Parsons, the Cowboys' star edge rusher, publicly announced that he has formally requested a trade from Dallas. This came after long, painful contract negotiations stalled with no significant progress. Parsons took to social media to share a detailed message expressing his deep disappointment and exhaustion with the situation. "I've stayed silent for a while," Parsons admitted, "but after repeated criticisms and false narratives about me, I've made a tough choice. I no longer want to be a Dallas Cowboy." He made it clear he personally submitted his trade request to Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones, signaling that this isn't a subtle hint, it's a firm demand. A look at Parsons' credentials highlights why this situation is causing such a stir. At just 26 years old, he is a 4-time Pro Bowler and 2-time first-team All-Pro, consistently demonstrating elite pass rushing abilities with at least 12 sacks every season of his NFL career. He regularly ignites debates as a top candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. Despite his impressive track record, Parsons is playing under the final year of his rookie contract, which pays $24.007 million in 2025, a figure well below his market value by nearly $17 million. Compared to the highest paid edge rushers in the league, the contract extension was not just overdue, it was widely anticipated. Parsons has been cooperative throughout the off-season, showing up for workouts and training camp without creating waves or distractions for new head coach Brian Schottenheimer. Yet, as the preseason approached, he was still waiting for meaningful progress on his contract talks. Parsons voiced his frustration with the drawn-out negotiation process, sharing insight that many might not have known. "I truly wanted to stay," he wrote. "I gave everything to show that I wanted to be a Cowboy, to wear the star on my helmet proudly. I wanted to perform in front of what I believe are the best fans in sports and bring glory back to America's team, the same team my dad and I cheered for growing up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. However," he added, "unfortunately, I no longer want to be here. I don't want to be subjected to closed-door talks without my agent present." I don't want to be criticized for injuries I sustained while giving my all to the team, fans, and teammates. Nor do I want misleading stories about me spreading in the media. What makes this even more intriguing is that Parsons reportedly avoided creating drama to push for a deal. According to his agent David Mulligeta, Parsons was advised to be patient and wait for other marquee defensive player contracts, such as those of Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, to potentially set the market. But Parsons preferred engaging directly with Cowboys management sooner rather than later. Parsons acknowledged he was willing to accept less money initially in hopes of securing the extension. He met with owner Jerry Jones earlier this year to discuss leadership matters, only to have the conversation unexpectedly shift to contract terms. Parsons expected his agent to follow up to formalize negotiations, but says the Cowboys went silent, ignoring his representation completely. To this day, the team has never had a single contract talk with my agent. Parsons lamented, "My agent hasn't made any demands concerning salary, contract length, or anything else." This lack of dialogue led him to officially request a trade. So what happens next? Money remains the key factor. The Cowboys still have options. They can either meet Parsons' contract expectations, he deserves to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, or keep controlling his contract rights using the franchise tag for the next 2 years. This tag means Parsons remains under Dallas's control for up to 3 seasons, limiting his freedom to join another team unless a trade is agreed upon. However, forcing a trade won't be simple. Parsons would have to be prepared for significant setbacks, such as sitting out games, facing fines, and losing game checks if he chooses to escalate matters. Even if he returns to play later in the season, the franchise tag could be applied again in subsequent years, restarting this high-stakes negotiation dance. From the Cowboys' perspective, parting ways with Parsons makes little strategic sense. He's one of the NFL's most talented and marketable players, and essential to their defensive success. Trading him offers no guarantee of bringing the Cowboys closer to breaking their long-standing Super Bowl drought. Still, if Dallas opts to trade Parsons, the team acquiring him would have to offer an enormous package. Reflecting on similar blockbuster trades helps illustrate the cost. For example, back in 2018, the Oakland Raiders sent star defender Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears for a haul that included 2 first-round draft picks, among other selections. For Parsons, deals may start with 3 first-round picks, or a combination of first-rounders and key players. A hefty price, but justified given his game-changing impact. Every NFL team should be eager to add a player of Parsons' caliber to bolster their roster, regardless of the substantial trade compensation and the significant contract extension required afterward. Talents like him are rare and can alter a team's trajectory in an instant. But here's a question to readers. Do you believe the Cowboys should meet Parsons' demands to keep him? Or is it time for the franchise to take a hard line and potentially move on? Could this standoff signal a shift in how star players approach negotiations across the league? Or is Parsons making a mistake by burning bridges with a team that could become a championship contender around him? NFL seasons are full of unexpected twists, so while it's difficult to picture Jerry Jones letting go of one of his brightest stars, the drama unfolding with Micah Parsons reminds us that in professional sports, even the closest relationships can be fragile. Let's see how this story unfolds, and your thoughts on it could ignite a fascinating debate.